What's good, Commanders fans? I've been super busy, so I got to make a car video very quickly, probably like a 5-minute video, if that. There's a lot to be said. People talking about Bieniemy and him not getting a glowing endorsement from the players, and then now we just hired, or the Commanders hired, the Commanders hired a replacement for DB coach Brent Wieselmeyer, who coached in high school, and Jack Del Rio hired him, and then allegedly him and Jack are good friends, so that's a big reason why Wieselmeyer was hired. Certainly a downgrade from the defensive backs coach Chris Harris. We didn't see any development from the guys at all. Ben St. Juste regressed. Emmanuel Forrest is not good this year, or really up and down, but more big plays given up than big plays made by Emmanuel Forrest for sure. The big game given up to DJ Moore. The whole DBs, they all, except for Kendall Fuller, he's the only guy who really had like a solid. See, Cam Curl's been okay. Just hasn't been super impactful as far as like making big plays, stuff like that. Danny Johnson, and who else have we got on the roster really? It's Ben St. Juste, Kendall Fuller, Forbes, and Danny Johnson, and Derek Forrest has been out of the lineup for the most part. So the DBs have been certainly disappointing. And then Jack Del Rio, he's played a lot of man this year. Isaiah Hodgins from the Giants said that they play a bunch of man. They don't adjust. They don't make any adjustments. And they leave their guys out there to dry. That's what Isaiah Hodgins said after the Giants beat us, and Tommy DeVito had a darn good game. Every quarterback has a get-right game against us. It's not just the DB's fault, but the DBs have not been good at all. They give up a big play. Jalen Hyatt for the Giants cooked us. DJ Moore, Marvin Mims, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Brandon Cooks, any wide receiver, you name it. They get big plays or big yards against our DBs. Ben St. Juste, he's looked really awful this year. He's been bad. But we'll see if Jim Salgado. So they hired Jim Salgado to help out their defensive staff. He will be the interim DB coach. You know, he knows he's going to get fired at the end of the year. Just the same with Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera is going to be calling plays now. And he said an interesting statement. Now he wants to get more one-on-ones with the defensive line. It's like, why weren't you guys doing that? So all the statements and adjustments that he said, it's like y'all should have had this conversation. Been doing that since the get-go. I wanted to make a separate video about that too, but I've just been super busy. I'm going to just read a quick bio or read up on Jim Salgado. He did coach with Michigan State, coach with the Bills. Of course, Sean McDermott has the history with Ron Rivera, so there's some history there, obviously, with Ron Rivera hiring Jim Salgado. And Sean McDermott was Ron Rivera's assistant with the Carolina Panthers when the Carolina Panthers had a darn good defense with Luke Kuechly, back when Josh Norman was good. They had a bunch of good players on that Panthers team for sure when they went to the Super Bowl and lost. Salgado has nearly 30 years of coaching experience, spent the past 6 seasons with the Buffalo Bills. 2017 to 22, he arrived in Buffalo in 2017 and spent his first 3 seasons as a defensive assistant. Salgado was promoted to nickelbacks coach in 2020 and was the team safeties coach in 2022. Oh, yeah, Quan Martin, forgot about him, too. He's been up and down. Percy Butler, up and down. All of them have just been inconsistent. Salgado was with Leslie Frazier, and together they coached some of the top defenses in the NFL. At Buffalo, number 2 in team defense in 2018, number 3 in 2019, number 1 in 2021, number 6 in 2022. Jim also has coordinator experience, so his experience compared to the last guy, Wieselmeyer, his resume just doubles or triples the time of Wieselmeyer, the last guy we had in here. He's a strong resume, coached up a couple of good players as well with the Bills. Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White, safety Jordan Poyer, they all earned Pro Bowl honors for the Bills as well. As nickelback coach in 2020, he helped the Bills rank 7th in the NFL with 15 interceptions as well. They were 3rd in 2019, number 1 in 2021, and number 6 in 2022 during his tenure as the DB's coach there too. So he has a really good resume. Prior to coaching the NFL, Salgado spent 23 seasons in the collegiate ranks. He was at Princeton for 7 seasons, 2010, 2016, including 4 seasons as the Tigers defensive coordinator from 2013 to 2016 as well. So, yeah, that's enough. So he assisted in the development of NFL player Steve Gregory, Tenard Jackson with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Anthony Smith with the Steelers, and Joe Fields with the Carolina Panthers. He was also coached with Syracuse too. Syracuse defense had 48 interceptions during Salgado's 4-year tenure and ranked 15th in the FES in 2006. In the FES in 2006 with 17 interceptions as well. So he has a long resume, man. I'm intrigued to see what he does. Of course, this first game will be a tough test against Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua is a good quarterback. He's been a darn good quarterback this season. So Raheem Mostert, he can catch out the backfield. So it's going to be a tough test for the Dolphins. I think they have Durham Highsmith or something like that. That's the tight end's name. So I'm excited to see what he does. Let's see what he can do. It's an unfair uphill battle for him with 5 games left, especially coaching Ron Rivera. The odds are not in his favor, but I'm intrigued to see what he can do with Ben St. Juice, Kendall Fuller. And the Mayo 4 is going to be out for extended time from what I heard as well. So there's just so much going on with this team. Quickly on Eric Bieniemy, Grant Paulson, John Keim already said something about it, that the players are not endorsing Eric Bieniemy. Also, that the players want less power from Eric Bieniemy. That was what John Keim said on a podcast. Now, Grant Paulson came up with an article saying that he's heard through the grapevine and talked to players, or I don't know where he's getting this information from. But clearly, this is real, because if John Keim says it, you don't take it with a grain of salt. A grain of salt, if John Keim says something. Now another person in the media is coming out and saying the same thing as well. So they say Bieniemy, Grant Paul says, I continue to hear that if this is up to the players, if they are counseled in any way, there will not be glowing endorsements by and large for Eric Bieniemy from the guys on offense. So clearly this has to be from somebody who is a legitimate player and not just a third string, second string guy. It has to be somebody like Terry or Jahan, or somebody who is either a captain or a prominent player on the roster for sure has to be speaking up and saying this. And the thing is, I knew this would come. If winning cures all, but when they're losing, I knew it's going to look bad, because Ron Rivera said in the beginning that guys had been concerned, a little concerned. They came to him, they talked to him about that they're concerned about what Eric Bieniemy does in practice. Now, you can call the players soft, but it's a new generation. You do have to connect with your players. A couple things I don't like about Bieniemy is the shotgun runs. In the Dallas game, 3rd and 1, you throw a deep pass to Terry, then you do a shotgun run on 4th and 1. Now, you remember what Shady McCoy said about Eric Bieniemy too, and a lot of people didn't want to listen. Now, we know he has an abrasive style. Shady McCoy was like, oh, he's dog cussing the players, cusses out Kelsey. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a backup or starter, he talks to you the same way, and he rides players. He's a tough coach. So, yeah, you can call the players soft, but, it's a different generation. You got to be able to connect to the players and adapt with the players. That's the only thing that I have a concern about Eric Bieniemy, is just adapting and connecting with the players. I'm not concerned about if he's pushing players hard. That's just what it is. It's football. So you're going to get tough coaches. You're going to get tough. Everything's supposed to be tough. Practice is going to be hard. Practice is always supposed to be hard in the game. I remember DJ Swearinger was like, oh, Jay Gruden had a soft practice. We don't practice. So, there's a lot of players that want to be coached hard, but when the tough gets going and you're losing, you're getting barked at all the time. You make one mistake, the attention to detail, line up the right way. You got to do it over and over and over again. Players get tired of it. It's just a new generation. It's just what it is. So I'm not saying to coddle players or cuddle players, but it's a different generation. Guys getting big bucks, and they're going to be wanting to talk to a certain way. So, and why was he not hired anywhere else? Is this a concern because of the way he talks to players? Now, we know coaches talk to players a certain way all the time, and they dog cuss them out, whatever. So it's just something to think about, man. It really is. Is this a big reason why he didn't get a job anywhere else? And now, since you're hearing this, that players are not going to endorse him, it's just that same concern that they had in the beginning of the season. So, whoever is complaining about Bieniemy, we'll see if they're going to be here next. But if it was a good player like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, they clearly have regressed under Eric Bieniemy. The running game has really not blossomed or gotten any better. B-Rob's gotten better at catching the ball out of the backfield. That's the only improvement I've really seen under Eric Bieniemy. He's had some good games with Sam Howell. The Eagles games have been really good. The Giants games have been really awful. But the shotgun run and then that terrible 4th and 1 shotgun run was just awful with against the Cowboys. And then he dropped Sam back so much. Sam has like one of the most passing attempts in the league. We just haven't established a run game. The run game really hasn't looked much better. Scott Turner's run game, honestly, sadly, has looked better than Eric Bieniemy's, or been more productive. And Eric Bieniemy was a running back in college and the NFL. So that's all I got to say about Eric Bieniemy, man. He brought in Andrew Wiley, so that wasn't good. And I do want him to target Terry McLaurin more, but Terry's got to catch the football. The long development routes are a concern too. And then we saw how some things didn't work out with Colorado. And, he said you got to drag your behind across the finish line to finish games. So we'll see. It's an evaluation period for him for the last 5 games of the season. And there's some good things and some bad things. And the 4th and 1 against the Eagles too where Sam almost threw an interception. That was at home, where I thought that was very finesse and kind of, that was some Scott Turner stuff too, where you're not going at them and running the ball at them. You're just dropping back and shotgun and throwing the ball sideways. Almost got interception against the Eagles too. So there's some disappointing things that I've seen from Eric Bieniemy, some good things that I've seen. I like the screen game. That looks better than Scott Turner. But there's some things where, he's just having Sam drop back so much. But yeah, the abrasive style is not for everybody, especially when you're losing, man. And Eric has been up and down as a coordinator. So I think he's been okay at times, but there's definitely been some inconsistencies. I don't think he's going to be the head coach next year. Personally, I'd rather see somebody else too. I want to see a young, innovative mind in there. Somebody with some more balance in there as well, and not dropping the quarterback so much. I know today's NFL is certainly different, but yeah, and then the whole thing with him and Del Rio allegedly going back and forth and getting into an altercation, that was something interesting. Jack Del Rio was probably pissed because of the play calling in that game, because they actually were getting some stops in that third quarter where they were trying to make plays and come back. They actually did get stops. Now, for the majority of the game, of course, they were getting cooked, but there was a period where they were getting stops and the offense just couldn't make any plays. And the play calling was very, very questionable from Eric Bieniemy for sure. And the Giants games, like I said, he really struggled in those against Wink Martindale, against the blitz. So it's not all his fault. Terry has dropped some passes. Johansson dropped some passes. But it's like, has the guys' confidence gone down and morale gone down under the coaching of Eric Bieniemy, just all the barking? A lot of questions up in the air there. So, but like I said, Terry's definitely not soft. If people calling the player soft, like I said, I don't know if it's him. I hate to speculate and all this stuff, but there's a lot of speculation and a lot of hearsay and stuff like that. But I think a lot of it is true because John Keim came out with it, and now Grant Paulson. So the players are not endorsing. And guys, they like players, coaches. That's just the generation it is. They like guys, like young guys like Nick Sirianni, Mike McDaniel. You see him running around with Jordans on and Nike Air Force Ones, running around with the guys and having fun. Nick Sirianni having fun with the guys, running around. Young guy like that. Kevin O'Connell, energy, guys like that. So those are kind of the guys that young guys in this generation kind of tailor towards. So it is what it is on that. You guys let me know what you guys think about the coordinator hiring, and then some of the guys just being out on Eric Bieniemy as well. And then look at the mic'd up with him and Adrian Peterson during training camp, and they're kind of like going back and forth. And but Adrian Peterson loves Eric Bieniemy. Jamal Charles, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill. So a lot of people love Eric Bieniemy. So, and then you look at the Netflix quarterback thing. Eric Bieniemy didn't talk much. That was something that was a little, not red flaggish, but just kind of a question mark there. You didn't see him really talk much with Pat Mahomes in the documentary. Like I said, it's just a documentary, so you take that with a grain of salt too. So, but his first time really playing calls without Andy Reid and whatnot, not having an elite Hall of Fame quarterback, definitely has been an up and down time for Eric Bieniemy for sure. All right, guys, Hells Commanders, peace.